The red and blue lights bounced off the lake like lightning frozen in mid-air, and my heart pounded so hard I thought the cops might hear it. I was standing on my own porch, my backpack still hanging from one shoulder, and Karen Mitchell, the so-called queen of our HOA, was pointing at me like I'd just broken out of prison. "There he is. That's the guy," she screeched. 4 officers, hands on their belts, stared at me like they weren't sure if I was the criminal she swore I was. And then the HOA lawyer stepped out of a black car with a smug grin, certain I was about to get hauled away. That was the moment I pulled out the folder with my name stamped in bold across the deed. But before I tell you what happened next, let me rewind. 2 weeks earlier, all I wanted was peace. I'd planned a weekend at the cabin my dad built with his own hands. That place was my sanctuary, the one spot where work emails, traffic, and HOA nonsense couldn't touch me. The HOA didn't even exist when my dad built it, only popped up years later when the new money crowd decided they needed rules to protect property values. Karen was the loudest of them all, always peeking through her blinds, always itching for a fight. That Friday, I was tossing bags into my trunk when she showed up at the edge of my driveway. Arms crossed, that fake sweet tone dripping from her mouth. Going to the cabin again, she asked. I just nodded. Then she smiled, the kind of smile that never reaches the eyes. The board's been discussing new guidelines about property use. You can't just stay there whenever you want. It gets messy. Messy. My cabin. My land. I brushed her off, but her words stuck like a thorn. By the time I got to the lake, I'd almost shaken it off. Sunset painted the water gold, pine trees whispered in the breeze, and for a moment I felt safe again. That didn't last long. The next morning, I found a neon notice taped to the cabin door, unauthorized usage, HOA approval required. I laughed, crumpled it, and tossed it into the fire pit. That single act was like declaring war. The following week, I was stuck in the city for work, and when I came back, the nightmare began. Karen had cooked up some story that I was abandoning the property, violating rules, and trespassing on my own land. That's how I ended up staring down flashing police lights and an HOA lawyer smirking like he owned me. I remember raising my hands and saying calm but cold, "This is my cabin. I have the deed. The permit's everything." Karen just laughed a harsh sound that sliced through the night. She waved papers in the air, shrieking that the lawyer had confirmed I was breaking rules. For a second, the weight of all those eyes, the cops, the neighbors, even the lawyer tapping his foot pressed down so hard I doubted myself. Did I miss something? Was she right? My stomach turned. I thought maybe I should just walk away. Let them win, avoid the fight. But then I felt the folder in my bag, every document my dad told me to keep triple copies because he'd always said, "If you want peace, son, prepare for war." My hands stopped shaking. I pulled it out and laid it open, every page stamped with my name. The lawyer's grin vanished. He flipped page after page, face darkening until finally he muttered that I was in full compliance. The cops eased back. Karen, though, just doubled down, shrieking that new rules were coming, that I was disrupting the community. I almost laughed. My nearest neighbor was half a mile away. I thought that humiliation would shut her up, but I underestimated Karen. She called an emergency HOA meeting the next day. I walked in to see her banging a gavel like she was presiding over the Supreme Court. She painted me as some wild squatter trashing the lake. The neighbors eyed me whispering until the lawyer admitted I was completely legal. A few even clapped. Karen's jaw tightened so hard I thought her teeth would crack. That was the moment I realized this wasn't about rules, this was about power. Things escalated fast. One morning, a buzzing sound dragged me off the porch, an HOA-branded drone hovering overhead, its camera blinking red. I recorded it, looked straight into my phone, and said, "This is my private cabin. The HOA sent a drone to watch me. This is not okay." I posted the clip online. Within hours, it went viral. Strangers messaged me stories of their own HOA nightmares. Even a teenage girl at the local diner told me her family had been fined for hanging a bird feeder. She thanked me for standing up. That hit me hard. I'd been on the verge of quitting, but now I wasn't just fighting for myself anymore. That's when Karen turned dangerous. One afternoon, my driveway alert pinged men in neon vests unrolling orange fencing, another dragging a chain, a tow truck backing toward my dock. Karen stood there, clipboard in hand, announcing I was in violation. "We're closing access until the board completes its review," she sneered. My blood boiled, but my dad's voice echoed in my head. "Plant your feet, don't shove back." I called Officer Miller on speaker. His voice came crackling. "We're on our way. Do not engage." While we waited, one of the workers raised bolt cutters to snap my little decorative chain. My pulse hammered. "Put that down," I warned. Sirens wailed in the distance. The workers hesitated, backing off as the cops rolled in. Karen's smile wavered for the first time, but she still muttered that I was disruptive. I thought maybe that was the end, until my phone chirped again. The dock camera showed a hooded figure crouched by my boat rag stuffed near the gas line, a flash of flame licking in the dark. My chest iced over. I sprinted down the trail cops at my heels, and when they yanked the hood back, my stomach dropped. It was Ryan Mitchell, Karen's son. Gasoline in his hand, a smirk on his face. "Just a scare, man." He shrugged. "You made Mom look bad. I almost lost it right there. That wasn't a scare. That was arson. That was my father's boat, my memories nearly going up in flames because his mother couldn't stand losing." Ryan was cuffed and hauled away, but Karen kept pushing. A letter appeared on my door. "Leave before it gets worse." 2 sets of muddy footprints led straight to my porch. For the first time, I felt real fear, not of fines or bylaws, but of what people were willing to do when rules failed them. I wanted to pack up and run. But then I thought of Maddie and her bird feeder of neighbors who'd quietly clapped at the meeting of my dad building that cabin board by board. Running wasn't an option, so I fought back harder. I hired Ms. Alvarez, a county lawyer with steel in her eyes. At the so-called disciplinary hearing, she dropped a stack of legal documents that thundered across the table. "This HOA has no authority beyond county approval," she declared. "Blocking his driveway and sending drones is trespassing and harassment. The attempted arson. That's criminal." Silence filled the room. Karen's face burned red, but the board crumbled. The neighbors, one by one, nodded. My rights stood. Karen's power cracked. She tried one last stunt, dragging a crew onto my land again, but Officer Miller shut it down cold. This time, there were reports filed, legal charges stacking up. The final blow came at a public HOA meeting. Karen, desperate, tried to rally the room, but instead she was forced to listen as her own neighbors turned on her. One by one, they spoke about her bullying, her false complaints, her vendetta against me. The vote was swift. Karen was removed as president. I didn't cheer. I didn't celebrate. I just sat back in my chair, the weight of weeks of fear and fury settling in my chest. She had tried everything: fines, cops, drones, even fire, and still lost, because in the end, paper trails, witnesses, and truth carried more weight than her gavel. That night, I stood on the porch staring out at the lake. The water looked calm again, like nothing had ever happened, but inside me the storm was still swirling. I wasn't proud. I wasn't triumphant. I was just tired. But I knew one thing: Karen had fallen, and I still had my cabin, my father's legacy, my peace. And if there's one lesson I'll never forget, it's this: when bullies come for what's yours, you don't run, you stand.